an invisible cloak, worn out shoes every morning, and a hidden castle beneath the ground. This is the story of the 12 dancing princesses. There was once upon a time a king who had 12 daughters, each one more beautiful than the other. They all slept together in one chamber in which their beds stood side by side, and every night when they were in them, the king locked the door and bolted it. But in the morning, when he unlocked the door, he saw that their shoes were worn out with dancing, and no one could find out how that had come to pass. Then the king caused it to be proclaimed that whosoever could discover where they danced that night should choose one of them for his wife and be king after his death, but that whosoever came forward and had not discovered it within 3 days and nights should have forfeited his life. It was not long before a king's son presented himself and offered to undertake the enterprise. He was well received and, in the evening, was led into a room adjoining the princess's sleeping chamber. His bed was placed there, and he was to observe where they went and danced, and in order that they might do nothing secretly or go away to some other place, the door of their room was left open. But the eyelids of the prince grew heavy as lead, and he fell asleep, and when he awoke in the morning, all 12 had been to the dance, for their shoes were standing there with holes in the soles. On the second and third nights it fell out just the same, and then his head was struck off without mercy. Many others came after this and undertook the enterprise, but all forfeited their lives. Now it came to pass that a poor soldier who had a wound and could serve no longer found himself on the road to the town where the king lived. There he met an old woman who asked him where he was going. "I hardly know myself," answered he, and added in jest, "I had half a mind to discover where the princesses danced their shoes into holes, and thus become king." "That is not so difficult," said the old woman. "You must not drink the wine which will be brought to you at night, and must pretend to be sound asleep." With that, she gave him a little cloak and said, "If you put on that, you will be invisible, and then you can steal after the 12. When the soldier had received this good advice, he went into the thing in earnest, took heart, went to the king, and announced himself as a suitor. He was as well received as the others, and royal garments were put upon him. He was conducted that evening at bedtime into the antechamber, and as he was about to go to bed, the eldest came and brought him a cup of wine, but he had tied a sponge under his chin and let the wine run down into it, without drinking a drop. Then he lay down, and when he had lain a while, he began to snore as if in the deepest sleep. The 12 princesses heard that and laughed, and the eldest said, "He too might as well have saved his life." With that, they got up, opened the wardrobes, presses, cupboards, and brought out pretty dresses, dressed themselves before the mirrors, sprang about, and rejoiced at the prospect of the dance. Only the youngest said, "I know not how it is. You are very happy, but I feel very strange. Some misfortune is certainly about to befall on us." "Thou art a goose, who art always frightened," said the eldest. When they were all ready, they looked carefully at the soldier, but he had closed his eyes and did not move or stir, so they felt themselves quite secure. The eldest then went to her bed and tapped it. It immediately sank into the earth, and one after the other they descended through the opening. The soldier put on his little cloak and followed them. Halfway down the steps, he just trod a little on the youngest's dress. She cried out in fear, but the eldest dismissed it. They came to a beautiful avenue of trees, all with leaves of silver. The soldier broke off a twig as proof. They passed through a forest of gold, and then one of diamonds. Each time the soldier took a twig, and each time the youngest grew more afraid. They came to a great lake where 12 boats waited, each with a prince. Each princess entered a boat, and the soldier secretly joined the youngest. Across the lake stood a brilliantly lit castle filled with music. Inside, the princesses danced with their princess, while the soldier danced unseen and secretly drank from their cups. They danced until their shoes were worn through, then returned across the lake. The soldier hurried back ahead and lay in bed before they returned. The same thing happened again on the second and third nights. On the third night, the soldier took a cup as final proof. When the time came, the soldier told the king everything and showed the twigs and the cup. The king questioned his daughters, and they were forced to confess. The king asked which princess he would choose. "I am no longer young," said the soldier, "so give me the eldest." They were married that same day, and he was promised the kingdom, and the princes were bewitched for as many days as they had dance nights with the 12. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next tale. Until next time.